So I've been talking about overload, and I've been talking about periodization, and I haven't touched on based on nutrition yet. So last time we talked about the low GI diet. So you can get results with the low GI diet. Again, just rehash on that concept is because you're just lowering your insulin response. Okay, so that means your body has an opportunity to release fats more often. Okay, so you can always go back and watch that video on fat diets and low GI. The next one is something I've also done, if it fits your macros. Okay, so the abbreviation is IIFYM. Okay, so IIFYM, if it fits your macros, it is based on a concept that is calories in, calories out. Okay, so not every calorie is equal. Again, if you've seen any of the things I posted on Instagram or whatever, like I'm drinking oils and stuff like that, and people are scared of fats because there's a higher calorie count for fats than there is carbohydrates or protein. Okay, so the highest calorie count would be fats. So people often think, okay, well, I can get in more food. If I reduce the number of calories, I can eat more, so I'm going to be eating more carbohydrates and protein as opposed to fats, right? So that's based off the concept of calories in, calories out, and it does work, okay? But you need to be strategic about it, okay? So I started when I first did the low GI, and then I wanted to put on some size. So I'm like, okay, I actually just needed to up my calories to put on size. So what I did is I just started eating everything and anything, and you know, a lot of guys fall into that, and they just start eating everything. Okay, so they start trying to up their their calories. They do their macros, and they're like, okay, well, I need like 4,000 calories or whatever, right? So they start eating everything just to get their calories in. They start eating McDonald's, and they start eating chips because carbohydrates will fill the muscle with glycogen, and they want to look fuller or whatever, right? So they just start eating everything, and then they start training hard. So I went into that, and I found that it does work. So again, every diet gives you a specific result. IIFYM is good for putting on size. So now it's bulk size. Okay, so let's just put it that way. So it works. You have a beach body. You're not gonna be super shredded, but you will look a lot larger, and you put on a lot of mass. So there's nothing wrong with that. Some guys just want to get big, and if you want, to put on more muscle, your body will put on more muscle. Okay, and at the same time, it's going to be putting on more fat, so you will look larger. But yeah, you're going to have a higher ratio of fat to muscle. But because there's muscle underneath, you're going to have that shape, and you'll look bigger. Okay, so for some people, that's great. So there's an important way to make it work where you're going to minimize the amount of fat that you put on. Okay, so the last thing you want is to go on if it fits your macros, and you're sitting around just watching TV. You're not going to build any muscle. You're just going to put on fat, right? Just sitting around eating McDonald's and stuff. So I did this literally where I would eat anything I want, open window. Okay, so but there's a specific method to do it. Okay, and I'm going to explain the science why. Okay, there's always a strategic way to do it, and that's the important part where a lot of people fall off, and they're not really understanding and not really getting results. It's because they're not looking at, again, in that low GI fat diet video that I was talking about. People are just looking at a diet and saying, oh, it doesn't work, or that's this and that, but they're not looking and asking, why does this work? Why doesn't it work? Does it work for me? Does it work for my goal? Okay, so first of all, if you want the goal of getting bigger and not worrying about the increase of fat ratio, then you can do this. Okay, the important thing is you have to understand macros. So when I was doing, if it fits your macros, so putting on size, I would do a 40-40-20. Okay, so I would calculate my calories, my macronutrients for 40% protein, 40% carbohydrates, and 20% fats. Okay, so that's what I was doing, and that's pretty standard bodybuilding macro. When people are off season and they're trying to build, is 40-40-20. Okay, so that's what I was using. So I calculated my needs, and I added the amount of for the weight that I want it to be. So if, for instance, if you wanted to be 200 pounds, you would calculate your macros for 200 pounds, and then you would do 40, 40, 20, calculate the 40, 40, 20, and then you would eat that number, okay? So, so that you'd have to eat in that window though, okay? If you're eating over that window, you're going to put on weight, okay? Now, you can lose weight on if it fits your macros, okay? Again, your fat ratio will still be higher, but you can get leaner, okay? You can still have a six-pack, all that stuff, because again, it's going to be a little bit of fat layered on top of your muscle. So if you have a six-pack that's deep and dense, and you're losing the weight through exercise, you'll still see the six-pack. I've done this before. Okay, so you would calculate your macros below. So let's say you're normally eating, I don't know, 2,500 calories. Okay, but you want to lose weight, so you drop your macros down to 2,000. Okay, so it has to fit your macros for the goal that you want, okay? And then you can eat whatever you want as long as it fits your macros. Okay, so this is wonderful, right? You can eat anything you want. You can eat McDonald's, you can eat, you know, Burger King, you can order pizza as long as it fits your window. So that's really cool, right? But there's a catch to that, but I'm going to get to that, okay? So number one thing is you need to eat within that window, okay? Secondly, the important thing is that you are depleting glycogen, before you actually have that open window. So if you're sitting around watching TV, then your body is still going to be full of glycogen. Your muscle stores carbohydrates and glycogen, right? Your muscles in your liver, okay? So if that's full, if your body's storage is full, and then you go and eat the Big Mac and, you know, order that pizza and eat that pizza or whatever, then your body's going to store more fat, okay? So you can't just sit around with a if it fits your macros type diet and watch TV and eat whatever you want, expecting that just because you're eating in that macro window that it's going to work for you, okay? So it's not going to work. First of all, if you're not exercising, your window is a lot smaller. So for you to, you know, you might just be able to fit one McDonald's meal for the whole day, which is ridiculous, okay? So you have to deplete your glycogen, first of all, and by doing that, you actually expand your window, okay? At high intensity, you can actually double the amount that you can eat. I'm not going to talk about that today, but your metabolism can go up to like 90%, okay, on top of your basal metabolic rate, which is what you need to live, okay? So, but I'm not going to talk about that today. Okay, so you need to work out, and it's timing, nutrient timing, okay? So what I would do is either A, eat that whatever you're going to eat first, like McDonald's, whatever, and then as your body is about to break it down and digest it, you're going to hit a workout. So now you're going to be flushing it into your muscles, right? As you're depleting it into your muscles, it's going to feed your muscles so you can train more, and it can fill your muscle and make you look full, okay? So that's one way. Or you can hit the gym, deplete your muscle glycogen, and then go and eat and then refill it. So now you're not really spilling over into the fat arena, right? You're not storing that fat. You're actually just replenishing the body as opposed to storing fat, okay? So the idea is to replenish glycogen with the if it fits your macros, and then you can eat whatever you want, okay? So that's a key point for this style of dieting. You have to work out and pay attention to nutrient timing, right? So the last thing you want to do is have your body glycogen full, and then sitting there, you know, taking a nap or whatever for, you know, and just watching TV or whatever. Okay, so that's something that you want to avoid. Okay, so there's a couple flaws with if it fits your macros. First of all, most of the time, if it fits your macros, you're missing a lot of nutrient-dense foods if you're just going to eat whatever. So it will still depreciate your body in terms of health, because you're malnutrition technically. As much as you're eating, you're still malnutrition. Okay, so you want to. That's one thing that is the issue with if it fits your macros. Okay, and again, there's a lot of toxicity in you know, processed foods, in fast food, all that stuff. So you will be going on a decline, but by going strictly on if it fits your macros. So now you're gonna have to look at, you know, spending more money on supplementation, which is not complete. It's a supplement. When you're talking about supplements, it's a supplement. It's not complete. Okay, so but you will have to supplement because you're not getting the nutrients from your food. So you're gonna have to be spending a little bit more in supplementation. Okay, so That's the downfall of it if it fits your macros. So there's a good way to do if it fits your macros is actually to eat nutrient-dense foods in that window of your macros. So that's actually kind of a double whammy. All right. So, but then you're kind of missing the whole point of it fits your macros, because then you're not eating whatever you want, right? So if you want to eat whatever you want and still gain muscle mass or lose weight, that's the concept. Eat within that macronutrient window. Okay, make sure your training timing and nutrient timing is up, so you're training around your bad meals, or yeah, so you make sure that you're not sitting around you got to make sure that you're depleting your glycogen before you put the glycogen back in. Okay, so being sedentary and doing an if it fits your macro wouldn't be ideal. I've never tried that, and I couldn't tell you the results of that, but I can tell you if you're doing your nutrient timing and you're training and you're eating whatever you want, it could work. I don't do that anymore. There's a better way to do that, because now I'm actually not really concerned about eating whatever I want. I'm actually eating for performance, health improvement, and hormone regulation. All of this even improves your mental clarity. So that's where we're going to progress further in. That's where I progressed further. So I started with low GI, and then I did it if it fits your macros. And we'll talk about another diet that I moved into later on. And yeah, so for now, yeah, that's if it fits your macros. Go ahead and eat whatever you want to your heart's content, as long as it fits your macros. All right, see you later, guys.